Okay, let's get started. We're at 2 minutes after the hour. Let me just, can I get a thumbs up from our panel that you can see the slides and hear me? All right, thank you so much. Okay, so welcome to our session, Mapbox Tech, Mobile Development. A few things before we get started. I do want to let everyone know that the session is 25 minutes long. Captions are available in multiple languages, so you should see that setting at the bottom of your screen. You can check out the Zoom bar below and select your caption settings. You will be able to submit questions through the Q&A feature, which is also located at the bottom of your screen. We do have a chat feature as well. If you submit there, we may also see that, but please try to use the Q&A feature for questions. Also, with each session you attend this week, the more chances you have to win Mapbox swag. So we have a lot of sessions, so please keep visiting for the ones that interest you, and you get a chance to win some swag. And you can discover all the build sessions we have in the Zoom event lobby, or you can go to mapbox.com/build. Okay, I want to introduce our panelists real quick. Today, we're going to be speaking with Osa Forcell, who's the Senior Maps Product Manager, in particular for our mobile Maps SDKs. We're also going to be talking with Mike Gianfrido, who is our Navigation Product Manager, and Murat Bahar, who's our Search Product Manager. So we have a truly expert panel today with the presentations. And we are going to cover developments on the maps, navigation, and search side of our businesses, all within the lens of sort of developing for a mobile application. So you're not only going to learn about the latest developments to each of these SDKs, but hopefully take away new ideas for how you could potentially leverage the full Mapbox platform, right? So maps, navigation, and search to develop for your mobile users. Then we're going to wrap this up with a Q&A, and we'll be done in about 25 minutes. So with that being said, I am going to let Osa take over here and start talking about maps.
Great, thank you, Greg. So, it's really nice to meet you all. During the last build event, we announced our new standard style that delivers a top-of-the-line 3D mapping experience with dynamic lighting. And ever since that, we have made the style generally available to everyone and have just recently released a version 2 of that style. And this V2 or the version 2 version of the style introduces a lot more configuration options for the style to make it even more adjustable to your specific use cases. So we released new color themes, which are color configuration options that work with the existing lighting presets that we have. So the day, night, dawn, and dusk. So you can now complement that with two new themes, the faded theme and the monochrome theme. And both of these new themes provide more aesthetic flexibility, and they are especially useful when you are using standard style for data visualization or with extensive custom data layers. So the faded theme is a little bit more subtle version of the default, and of course monochrome is, well, monochrome. And all of these themes can be changed at runtime, meaning that you do not have to change between styles and load new styles. Instead, it's just a one configuration. And this means that essentially with this one style, you actually get 12 different style variants that you can switch between as you want. Then another new thing that we released is a satellite view for the standard style. So the new satellite style will also receive all updates automatically and will support the new lighting preset. So the same dawn, dusk, night, day will also work with the satellite style, which will make your applications a lot more coherent as it stands. And also with this new satellite style, we introduced new configurations that allows you to hide different road types and also show them as you see fit, because sometimes with satellite, you don't want to show as much of the map content as you would otherwise. Let me switch the slide. Yes. And then, of course, the standard was introduced as a new 3D experience, and we got a lot of positive feedback about it, but also questions that, okay, I love it. I especially love the lighting, but can I just, have a 2D version of that? So we did release a 2D version of the standard style. So with the standard, you can now have a 3D or hide 3D models configuration. So again, during runtime, you can switch from 2D to 3D while still enjoying all of the different color configurations as well as the dynamic lighting that we have. So in this picture, you can see a side by side of the same view with 3D models enabled and 3D models hidden. And beside these styling capabilities, last year we announced our intention to support the multi-platform development environment Flutter, and also these new mobile declarative UI frameworks, Jetpack Compose and Swift UI. And all of these three are now generally available to all developers. So it means that you can choose whichever development framework you want and makes most sense to you and your specific business. So the Flutter is supported both on Android and iOS. And on Android, you can continue to develop on Kotlin or with the new Jetpack Compose. And likewise, on iOS, you can continue to use the UI toolkit or you can work with the Swift UI. So again, a lot more flexibility in how you develop your applications. And obviously, the overall developer experience is really important for us. So we have done a large list of general improvements that will make developers' day-to-day lives easier. Obviously, in the past year, we have announced a lot more than what you see here, but I just wanted to highlight some that I personally I'm pretty excited about. So we introduced Style DSL for iOS. Previously, it was only available on Android, but now that can only be used, also be used on iOS. And the Style DSL makes runtime styling a lot more easy and fast on iOS. And then on top of this, we also made general runtime styling API improvements to all platforms that we support. Then we introduced a bunch of different tools to improve debugging, performance optimization, and monitoring. So we introduced advanced memory usage tracking and also performance statistics API. Besides these, a little bit earlier, we also introduced map recorder and tracing APIs as well. So we have really heavily tried to invest in developer tools and things that will really improve the developer experience working with the platform. Also, very soon, we'll be releasing the support for the Android 16 kilobyte page sizes, which is a new feature on Android. So in a very short time, you will be also able to build applications that use the new page sizes. And then also a pretty cool thing is that Vision OS is also now supported by our iOS SDK. You can use it to develop VR applications for the Vision Pro hardware. And our 3D maps and the dynamic lighting is pretty much the perfect use case for that. So if you have the Vision Pro hardware, I really recommend you checking out the maps in that because it's pretty cool. Then final kind of nod to developers is that we really tried to improve our examples and tutorials in the past year. So we have always had a huge amount of examples in our GitHub repository, but they've kind of been hidden in a code. So now we have exposed all of them in the documentation pages, both for iOS and Android, and have to or tried to also provide some visual examples as well. So we're hoping that this will make life easier for developers because we went from what 15-ish examples per platform to 50, 60, 70, 80. Can't remember the exact numbers, but exponential increase. But yeah, that's for map side. I'm gonna hand it off to Mike from the navigation SDK team to show all the cool stuff that they have been building.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Gianfrido, product manager for our navigation SDK. I'm going to talk a little bit about the latest version of the navigation SDK v3, which includes the new Mapbox standard style and all of the new satellite features and a lot of the things that Usa just talked about. So it's really the way we can deliver a real-time turn-by-turn navigation experience on a mobile device. So what you see here in kind of these images is really the navigation SDK at work, where you can build a custom, a puck with a custom route line, and navigate to your target location. So what we really, the value for this, for developers, is they're able to include in-app navigation inside their application. Traditionally, when navigation first came out, a lot of users and a lot of apps would send someone to a third-party application to be able to have a real-time navigation experience. And it would create this really disconnected user journey where the user's leaving your application and going elsewhere. So what we've focused on here is being able to really help developers create this navigation experience inside their own experience. So you can add your own notifications and blend your own buttons and be able to make it a navigation experience that really aligns with your target user journey and your brand. And just to kind of show how we're focusing on this here, you see the navigation SDK is really embedded into your application. And through that, we're able to deliver the power of the Mapbox platform, which includes all of not only our map information, but also our telemetry and traffic data to be able to provide real-time intelligence as far as being able to navigate efficiently and effectively. And this really helps a lot with a lot of use cases. For example, the on-demand, any on-demand delivery or on-demand mobility use cases, where you're really trying to track this delicate experience where you have two different parties, and you're able to keep your app in the foreground and help your drivers or delivery agents be able to find the correct point and be able to help monitor them through that point and through their journey, really enhancing the experience, as well as obviously having search and the rest of the features in the Mapbox platform delivered through navigation. So I'm going to pass it over to Marat and let him talk a little bit about search.
Sure. Let me talk a little bit about amazing new search features with rollout. So first of all, Search SDK can be used standalone or a part of the navigation SDK. Also, we announced the general availability for SDK this year. The big and amazing part is SDK gives you developers an opportunity to create online and offline experiences in a single package. So think about any scenario that either a user is lost connectivity or you're building something for offline access, you can use the SDK. It has all the user personalization features like favorites, saved history, and other things. So as a search user, it reads my search patterns and uses them in the search experience. Also, good thing about developers is we provide a drop-in UI components. You don't need to do anything. You can be up and running in minutes with all these provided UI components. As for example, the screen, you see the default components we provide. You just drag, drop, and build your application. What is new? As I said, generally available, all Android and iOS SDKs now. We invested a lot in offline search features. Now we provide intelligent caching. Let's say when an app is online, we automatically cache locations around the user location, at places around the user location. So for any reason it's cut off, the internet connection is cut off, users can still search nearby locations which are automatically downloaded. Also, developers can pre-download offline regions, which is a great flexibility as well. Built-in UI elements, you can be up and running in minutes. We have a lot of reusable demo apps. You don't need to code anything to start with. You can just copy paste them. And as I said, this SDKs support POI address and location search with all the nice features and different use cases you can support. Also, address autofill comes within Search SDK and it basically helps users to fill an address. It's a pre-built UI component. You can add in your app and be up and running in minutes. if you have a use case that users fill an address, that's the perfect way to go. And it's all bundled in a small, nice UI that you can use out of box. And I think we're moving to Q&A right now. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. And we have about 7 minutes and we have a lot of questions. So let's try and roll through these. And I would also encourage our panelists, if you can, take a look at the questions in Q&A. You could also type an answer so we can try to get to them. But if you feel like you're juggling too much. Also, when will Jetpack Compose and Swift UI be updated to be compliant with the latest native platforms, example, iOS 16, and several people asked this.
Yeah, I mean, they are compatible with them today already. I mean, our own iOS developers use Xcode 16, and we always run our test on the newest iOS versions are available. So every time there is a new iOS beta version release to developers, we also always make sure to add that to our testing environment. So they should work already today.
Awesome. And I see, also to you again, I see you have Vision OS as experimental. Are there plans to do something similar for the Quest 3 headset?
I don't, at least not in the immediate future. So the Vision OS was in a way a special case because it actually worked almost out of the box with the iOS SDKs that we already have. We just had to make some adjustments on how do you actually interact with the new interaction system of the Vision Pro. So right now we don't have new operating systems planned. So don't know much about the Quest, but of course, if we have a relevant customer requirement, then we can reconsider this.
Nice. Okay. Last one. I'm just taking these as they came in order. Osa, using Jetpack Compose and a bottom navigation, do you have plans to avoid redrawing of the map when changing navigation view? It can be a bit tricky at times to have the map redrawn when switching between navigation views. And that might actually be for Mike too.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. I would probably have to refer that to our development team and do some tests to understand better what the problem there is. Apologies, I don't think I have a good answer for that.
Okay. Moving on. Any plans for a navigation SDK for React Native?
So right now we don't have any official plans to support React Native or Flutter for that matter. But as far as the navigation SDK is concerned, but there are community libraries that are out there that are using the navigation SDK. There's one of React Native I can give you a link to that for starters. But there we do have customers that are using those platforms and are successful in production for their app.
Thanks, Mike. If you do get a chance, can you drop that link in the chat? But this next one is for you. So the slide suggested that Navigation V3 supports EV route and charge and rain prediction. Can you just reiterate, does V3 offer EV specific features? And if so, how do we use them?
Yeah, so right now those are not available publicly. Right now we're have those behind a feature flag. So you would need to reach out to us if you're interested in using that.
Okay, great. So yeah, if you have a Mapbox contact, please reach out to us. Otherwise, there is a contact form on our site that you could get in touch with us. Question about navigation in Android Auto. I have followed the version 2 Android Auto getting started guide, but the default units seem to be in Imperial. We are a Canadian company, so I need the units to be in metric. How do I make the maneuvers and distances appear in metric?
Yeah, so I think that one's for me. I don't necessarily have a specific answer to that. It's more of I think the Android controller that we have is more of an example of what you could do. In a lot of cases, if you need to get very custom, you might want to kind of rebuild your own version of an Android controller. But if I can follow up and look into seeing an example maybe where we have those metric units.
Awesome. Okay, this one's to Osa, are there plans to make the standard style fully editable in Mapbox Studio like prior styles, such as Mapbox Streets? It would be extremely useful to have full customization to add or remove layers beyond just the top, middle, and bottom slots.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the reason why standard style doesn't have access to all of the underlying layers is because we wanted to introduce a concept called evolving base map that allows you to receive style and base map updates without actually having to do anything on your side. Whereas previously, when you made a fork of the style, you wouldn't be able to get any updates. So because of this, we did have to restrict some access to the underlying layers. But obviously, since release, we've got a lot of good feedback like this. So we have started to introduce a lot of more visibility configs. So I would say yes and no. No, as in we won't be introducing all of the layers and adjustments that you can do with the legacy styles. But yes, as in we are introducing new visibility configs. For example, you can now toggle on off the 3D layer, different road things in the satellite version, showing labels, not showing labels, a little bit more granularity there. So yes to visibility configurations, no to perfect granular access as in the default style or the old styles. But if you have specific layers in mind that you would like to control, please put it in the chat and I can also relate that to the design team.
Okay, thank you, Osa. I am going to ask this next one. Forgive me if I butcher this. I'm just not familiar, but we didn't mention .NET MAUI or .NET MAUI as native cross-platform support. Is there any plans to support .NET MAUI?
I think not right now. We don't have, I believe there might be some community-driven extensions, but nothing that is currently Mapbox driven. So yeah, not today.
Okay. Thank you so much. We're gonna actually wrap it there. I apologize because there are some more questions. So I'm sorry that we weren't able to get to all of them. Some of them were answered, were typed answered in the Q&A. So please check the Q&A again. If you did ask a question, you may have a typed answer in there. We do also have a log of these questions, so we can certainly follow up if there was something in particular that came up frequently and reach out and make sure that you get your question answered. But we do want to say thank you all for attending. You were very engaged, asking a ton of questions, which we really appreciate. And I want to say great job to the panelists as well. And thank you for presenting all this information. And yeah, we hope to see you on another session soon.